A few weeks ago, Nintendo announced that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was getting DLC. It's crazy to think that a game that came out in 2014 is still receiving new content, at least to me it is. And since there's gonna be like a million new retro tracks in the game, I've decided to rank the top 10 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe retro tracks. I'll only be including tracks from the base game, and nothing from the Booster Course Pass since none of those tracks have been released yet. This ranking will be based on how fun the tracks are to play, how they compare to the originals, and anything else that makes them cool. And with all that out of the way, let's go! Number 10. 3DS Neo Bowser City. I've never understood why this course gets so much hate. I mean, it's no Waluigi pinball, but it's still really fun, and this remake does not disappoint. For one thing, this is one of the coolest looking tracks in any Mario Kart game. The 3DS version looked okay, but the remake just looks so much better. Even the little details like the rain look really good. And the new anti-gravity section is pretty cool too. But that's really all that's changed. Even the music is almost identical to the original. Now some people may see this as a problem, but personally, I didn't think that much needed to be changed. The original track was already great and didn't need much improvement. Now maybe I put this track on the list because I'm a sucker for city-themed levels and video games, but regardless, this track is still really awesome. Number 9. N64 Rainbow Road. I know what you're thinking. Oh, how could he possibly put an N64 Rainbow Road at number 1? Well, here's the thing. I've never been that big a fan of Mario Kart 64's Rainbow Road. I still think it's a great course, but compared to the other Rainbow Roads, it's definitely near the bottom for me. And don't take it personally, I just never grew up with this track or had much of a connection to it, and because of that, it's near the bottom of this list. Ooh, that got kinda personal. Anyways, this track does a great job replicating the level it's based on. Everything from the big jump at the beginning to the chain chomps, it's all here. There's even a flying train that throws coins down onto the road, which I mean, why not? And that remix is just perfect. It was such a smart move to use jazz instruments in this piece. Now with all that being said, there's one major problem with this remake. It's too short. Kind of ironic considering how long the original was, but it definitely ruins the experience a little. I get that splitting the track into 3 parts was to keep it from lasting like 10 minutes, but I almost would have preferred that. Maybe if it was like 30 seconds longer, this track would be lower on the list. Number 8. DS Wario Stadium. Oh yeah, now we're talking. This was a track that I grew up with, and is one that I still love to this day. So you can probably imagine how excited I was to see this course return in Mario Kart 8. But honestly, I was a little disappointed when I tried the remake for myself. The first half of the track is virtually the same. You've got the jumps and the dash panels in the mud and all that, but the second half changed so much to the point where I don't even recognize it anymore. Now the road jets out in an anti-gravity section, and then you're underwater, and it just doesn't feel right. I mean, it's still fun and all, but it just doesn't feel as impactful. Part of the track is missing too for some reason. Maybe it's just me, but I prefer the original over this. This remake isn't bad in any way, I love it, but there's just something about the original that they didn't quite replicate. I just wish they had stuck closer to the original design. Number 7. And the track with the most improvements goes to GameCube Sherbet Land. Now this was a track that desperately needed a remake. The original track was largely hated for its slippery controls and surplus of stage hazards. Luckily this remake fixed all these problems and more. For one thing, I can actually control where I'm driving, wow! Plus, there's this new underwater tunnel that you can take. It's so great to see old tracks get new shortcuts and alternate routes to spice them up. I also prefer how this looks compared to the original. Something about this version is just more fun to look at, and it's great that they left in the ice skating Shy Guys. It wouldn't be Sherbet Land without them. Even the music has been revamped and sounds amazing. Nintendo really knocked it out of the park with this one, seeing as I can't find a single problem with this track. Number 6. Wii Wario's Goldmine. And here is yet another track that I grew up with. Now if you thought the original version of this track was crazy, then this will leave you in shock. The biggest change has to be the minecart section. Everything is in anti-gravity, and you get speed boosts for touching the minecarts. That is such a genius idea. They used to be a pain if you ran into them, but now you want to do that to go faster. The half pipes have unfortunately been removed, but they didn't have much of a purpose in the original anyway. I also appreciate that they left in the secret path at the end. It might be useless, but at least it's fun. But other than that, there really isn't too much that's changed, and that's okay, because the original track was already cool. Number 5. DS Cheep Beach. I think someone once said you can't top perfection. But then Nintendo did the unthinkable and remade Cheep Beach. And boy am I sure glad they did, because this remake is just splendid. One of the biggest improvements is the ability to drive underwater. You could kind of do that in the original, but now it's for real. And doing this allows for some crazy awesome shortcuts. There's also this cool gliding section at the beginning now, and the layout of the track changed slightly at the end. I'm not sure why they did this, but it doesn't really matter. One thing that is a disappointment, however, is the removal of Cheeps as obstacles. I mean, there's still some swimming around you, but they're no longer dancing on the beach. Hope they're alright. But this remake gives me hope that more tracks will get this kind of treatment in the future, because this remake just slaps. Number 4. 3DS Music Park. What am I even supposed to say for this one? Literally nothing has changed between the two versions, and you might think that that's a bad thing, but in reality, this track is already perfect. You can still drive on top of various instruments that make noises as you drive across them, the head-banging piranha plants are still there, and the music is still amazing. Nothing needed to be changed, and I know a lot of people complain that they should have just made some differences between the different versions, and to that I say no! Just no! Number 3. Game Boy Advance Cheeseland. Now we're at the point where these tracks don't even feel like retro tracks anymore, and Cheeseland is a prime example of that. They added tons of jumps and shortcuts to make this course feel more modern. There's also tons of elevation changes, some anti-gravity sections, and even a chain chomp because who cares, it's Cheeseland, it can do whatever the hell it wants. You can even trick off the grooves of the cheese that are sticking out. I love this extra attention to detail. Most of the time that I play this track, I honestly forget that it's from a different game. Hell, a Game Boy Advance game. And when you think about that, it's actually pretty impressive. Ah, Nintendo, you never fail to impress me. Number 2. Game Boy Advance Ribbon Road. If you thought we were done talking about Super Circuit tracks, boy are you wrong. Ribbon Road is everything that the Cheeseland remake did, but even better. Now you're inside a little kid's room, but you're the size of a speck of dust. All of the toys tower over you and act as obstacles in your path. The road is still a ribbon, but now part of it waves up and down in the wind, and it all finishes with a big glide to the finish line. There's just something about all that that makes this course so amazing. Every turn is filled with new and creative ideas, or references to other characters. Like I love how there's just Yarn Yoshis just chilling everywhere. That's adorable. The layout of the track is really well thought out too. And you might think that the bumpy section makes this track not as fun, but it really doesn't. Now before moving on to number 1, I just want to say that this was a really hard top 10 to make, since there are so many great retro tracks in this game. Mario Kart 8 really hit it out of the park with remaking these old classics, and there were just way too many to pick from. But without further ado, I give you... Number 1. Tick-Tock Clock. I never would have imagined that a remake of one of my favorite Mario Kart DS tracks would have been remade so well. Everything, and I mean everything about this track is perfect. The layout is almost identical to the original, but now there's a few more shortcuts, and the visuals are absolutely stunning. I didn't think that a Mario Kart level would ever look this good, but holy crap, it looks amazing! Everything feels so much faster too, which really helps since in the original, there were some slow parts. There's also some new obstacles, and a gliding section, and a new remix, and did I mention that this course is awesome? Now I know that I'm pretty biased towards this level and Mario Kart DS in general, but you have to admit, this track is awesome. I wouldn't say that it's my favorite retro track of all time, but it's definitely one that every Mario Kart enthusiast needs to try. Now that was a really fun list to make. These levels are just some of the best retro tracks in Mario Kart history, so go play them for yourself. But first, watch this video on my top 10 Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Nitro tracks. It's just like this one, it'll give you a good time. Like and subscribe for more content, and also make sure to follow me on Twitter and DeviantArt. And I'll see you next Saturday. Goodbye.